All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to our manufacturing analytics two-part series. We're talking about bridging the gap between the office and the shop floor. If you attended our first session, we had our first session 2 weeks ago that's available on our website for download. And we talked in that first session around manufacturing analytics, specifically focusing on dashboards and business intelligence and multiple data sources. From last time, we had Chris Denisiak and Dave Martin kind of do our storytelling session. And this time we're going to have Dave Martin on the storytelling again on the beginning and the struggle. And then we'll have Josh Peterson talk about the tipping point and the new beginning. If this is the first time you're joining us for the webinar, again, part one is available on our website. For our framework of just kind of keeping the agenda tight and how we do our webinars here at Clear Process Solutions, we go through a storytelling effort. So we want to make sure that you understand why you're here and what you're going to get out of it. So it's like going into a movie theater and you show up 20 minutes late, you never know what happened in the beginning and why all this struggle is happening, so you feel lost. So we tell a story that we talk about the beginning and the struggle, and then we get into that tipping point and new beginning. As an introduction, my name is Justin Barr. I'm the partner and co-founder here at Clear Process Solutions. I'll be your moderator today. Please make sure to use the question panel as Dave's telling his story. That I'll be able to stop and ask questions along the way, or we can, if we need to continue on, we'll save the questions to the end. As two of the main points of takeaways for today's conversation, it is all around, we want you to be educated and aware. The manufacturing is complex. There's a lot of things that happen on the analytics side and data capture side that we're seeing tons of success in the market, and we're using these webinars to present out and just make sure everyone's aware of these technologies and platform as we go. Some common data challenges that we see across our customers is understanding your data, understanding where your data is located, how to leverage your data as an asset, how to manage your data. We say that 43 trillion gigabytes of data is created every day, and we see that in the manufacturing sector primarily because of IoT devices. In manufacturing challenges, we see a lot of different challenges on how to provide production visibility, how to increase your machine uptime, reduce quality and defect errors, and just how to capture data and utilize real time to implement improvements and continuous improvement throughout your manufacturing processes. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce Dave Martin, who's going to start telling you his story and from his experience, introduce himself, and then get right into his story, and then he'll turn it over to Josh. So Dave, go ahead and take it away.
Yeah, hi everybody, and thanks again, Justin. So again, my name is Dave Martin, and I joined CPS about 7 months ago following a great career with a $2 billion manufacturing company. And during this time, I had opportunities to lead engineering, operations, continuous improvement, and global quality. And part of my reason for joining CPS is that I really wanted to be part of helping companies drive even greater improvements in manufacturing with a lot of the new tools and technologies that are emerging. So today I'm going to tell a story that really part two of a story that I think represents a lot of manufacturers today. And it's a story about a part of my career that I'm really proud of. We made a lot of improvements, but there's a lot of things that could have been improved upon. And again, that was a big part of my reason for joining CPS. So as Justin said, I'm going to take you back to the beginning. So this goes back several years ago. I was growing in my career. I had been an engineer for a few years, and then I held some lower level operational and technical leadership roles. And I had my first chance at a larger scale leadership opportunity. I joined a plant leadership team as the night shift plant manager. I had me and the overall team were responsible for the transformation of a 220 person manufacturing plant. It was a new acquisition for us. And we were responsible for improving the safety, the quality, the cost, and the customer delivery and the customer performance of that site. So in our last webinar, I talked about our need for data and visibility of that data to drive improvements at the early stages of our transformation. And today I'm going to talk about some of the other challenges that we faced. So Part two of this plant transformation was we were asked to bring in assembly, and this was to a site that had traditionally been a machining and processing site. So assembly was brand new to us, and we were asked to bring over 20 assembly cells from one of our sister plants. And these had been running for a while, but we didn't know a lot about them. We didn't know really how well they were running. There wasn't great data that came with the processes. We brought a few people that agreed to come with the process. There was a few kind of assembly experts and process experts, but we still had to train a lot of people, and it was all person-to-person training. And that training, bringing on another 15 or so new people just to a single shift, was one of the first challenges that we faced. The other challenge that we faced that was related to that was how did we provide information to our people? How did we give our people work instructions? So we had basic work instructions that were on paper, but there was a lot of paper. So between the work instructions, we also had quality checklists, we had production schedules, we had time tracking forms, we had other operational procedures, your standard health and safety procedures, et cetera. There was probably between 10 and 20 documents that our operators were having to deal with on every single order. And when you think about bringing on all those new people, that was a lot for a new person to sort through. It was a lot for an experienced person to sort through, but it was really a lot for a new person to sort through. They really had a tough time understanding what did they need to focus on and what was most important to their day-to-day operation. At the same time, we also needed to maintain our quality. And there was some error proofing that was built into the process. That was great to have, but it wasn't linked to anything. That information didn't go anywhere, and there wasn't a good way to know for sure that somebody followed those error proofing processes. We also had a lot of paper-based checklists, things that operators had to check in on. They had to fill out that paperwork. They had instructions to tell them to check certain parts of the process or certain parts of the product throughout their shift or throughout their run. But again, that was all paper-based. And we didn't have a good way to enforce that and to ensure that everything was completed properly. To add to it, we also weren't really sure what the real tack times should be. Again, we had some information that came with the process, but we really needed to get our information right. We needed to get our tack times right so that we could get our labor planning right, we could get our scheduling right, and so that we could get our costing right. And we needed to have all that information quickly and to drive improvements. As you can imagine, and you might experience yourself, trying to get this data was really labor intensive. Just for that new assembly department alone, we probably spent 20 hours or more a day in processing and getting information. So between the operators filling out their timesheets and their quality checklists, other information, the supervisors making sure that that information went into our ERP system, that was probably a good 20 hours a day. And then as the data went into our ERP system, it really wasn't available for consumption out of that ERP system for probably 24 hours or more. So all that information would finally make its way in from a paper ticket, it'd get transcribed, it would get entered into our ERP system, and then it'd be another day or more before that information was available for consumption and to use for continuous improvement or to use for performance assessment. So we really needed good data, we needed it as quickly as possible, and most importantly, we needed good visibility to it. Justin and Josh?
Thank you, Dave. So before we transition over to Josh to talk about the tipping point in the new beginning, and obviously Dave went through a lot of struggles at his current organization, we're going to go ahead and launch a poll, and Josh will go ahead and take over presenting here while we're launching this poll. We want to understand the reasons your company has not previously pursued digital transformation. And so check all the boxes that apply. We'll end the poll here shortly, and we'll share the results out like we did last time. There's a lot of reasons companies are not pursuing, digital transformation, whether it's budgeting, whether it's not having the right resources, not sure where to start. There's a lot of complications to it. So looks like we've got a quorum for our polling. So I'm going to go ahead and share out the results. I'll hit end polling and I'll share the results. So it looks like from our results perspective, 57% of organization or of the people attending today have said that they just don't have a budget, right? And we see that as a very common problem of budgeting and figuring out what to budget for. When you're strategizing, you're thinking about planning, you're thinking about budgeting, you're thinking about where things can be improved. You know, there's always an ROI and a value that has to go towards that. So we appreciate that. We'll talk a little bit more about budgets and as we go through some of the tipping point and new beginning, but I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing the results and launch it over to Josh for the tipping point.
Thanks, Justin. I think I just had it shared and stop sharing. Let me reshare again. Yeah, hi everyone. If you see my screen, my name is Josh Peterson, and I'm the Director of Operations and Manufacturing Solutions here at CPS. And I'm going to discuss the tipping point and the new beginning in our storytelling. So my background, I'm a mechanical engineer by degree, but I spent the majority of my career in technical sales and business, primarily working with manufacturing companies to help them resolve their needs. So my background has taken me into countless manufacturing plants. And one thing that I found, Justin alluded to earlier, is that manufacturing is indeed very complex. So Dave's story that he told about these struggles is very common for most manufacturing companies. We see this every day, that leadership is continuously driving increased production, improved quality, and better profitability. But today, more than ever, they're expecting visibility to key metrics in real time. And they're expecting their teams to be making decisions based on trustworthy data. The interesting part about it in manufacturing companies is that they still tend to operate on very manual and paper-based processes. So in our storytelling, the tipping point comes in these stories when, as Dave explained, the manufacturing teams to get together, they review all of the systems that they're currently using and the dozens of paper-based forms and templates. And they start to realize that it's nearly impossible to succeed the way that they're currently operating. You can't continue to throw more labor at the same issues. So this forces these individuals to think differently. And at some point, they acknowledge that they're going to need a transformation. So these companies turn to a no-code digital manufacturing platform. And this platform is going to allow them to do many things, but one of them is to capture these manufacturing analytics. The platform is going to enable their team to create apps which will guide operators. It will interact with operators on the shop floor. It will interact with IoT devices on the shop floor and with your machines on the shop floor. And in addition, it will also interact with your existing systems, like your ERP systems. The app is used to build, these apps that they build rather are deployed to the shop floor. And because this is a no-code, very customizable platform, the manufacturing teams can have citizen developers in their own group. And by citizen developers, we mean individuals that can easily build and deploy these apps. They're not dependent on IT anymore, which obviously lessens the burden for IT now. And finally, this manufacturing platform is very flexible and agile. So as your company's needs change, your manufacturing team can modify apps or build new apps to meet those needs. So these companies get to a point in the tipping point, they get to a point where they realize, hey, we have a solution here, but you ultimately have to start somewhere. And that's a little bit challenging for some people. Sometimes they just don't know where to start. So these companies will start to review their strategic initiatives and they'll outline all of their top pain points. If we go back to Dave's story, he talked about struggle taking on assembly work at a plant that wasn't previously doing assembly type work. And he also talked about the need to have more readily available data. I think he alluded to 24 hours before the current data was available to use. Well, that's already outdated. So in Dave's case, we would suggest start simple. Start with 2 apps that would incorporate work instructions and quality. These apps would be created, deployed to the shop floor, and we would try to accomplish a few things right at the beginning. Visually guide those operators with digital and dynamic work instructions to streamline their work. It would also give them a means to enter any input directly into the system rather than having to use the paper forms. These apps would also help poke-yoke the process, and obviously that would improve their quality. And then finally, starting very small, these apps would allow a means to capture the quality-related data that they're after. Interestingly, just by implementing a very simple app, Dave's team would now be able to collect the data, view the data, and make use of that data and all those manufacturing analytics in real time. And in his case specifically, that information related to the tack times he'd be collecting and the production times he was after can be used to help him improve his scheduling, his labor planning, and just understanding their overall costs. Now I'm going to show a demo here of this platform. We have pretty limited time in this webinar, but I do want to show you a very introductory view of what this manufacturing platform could look like. But while I'm pulling that up, if you could fill out this poll, or poll number 2, we'd appreciate it.
Okay, we've launched poll 2. We're talking about selecting the top 2 initiatives your company is trying to approve. So as we're narrowing in here, we're getting a consensus. Got enough for responses. Okay, give it a couple more seconds. Okay, we're going to end the polling here, and I'm going to share out the results. So it looks like most of the people attending are looking to reduce quality defects and time for data collection, followed by improving operator efficiency and accuracy. So thank you for taking our poll, and we'll turn it back over to Josh for a demo.
Great, thanks, Justin. Yeah, that information, the poll provided is not surprising, right? So the demo I'm going to show you, it's a very pared down app. So mind you, it's only 4 steps in the interest of time. The idea is to show you what this platform can look like. So on the screen right now, you're seeing, if I'm an operator on the shop floor, I'm going to be guided by this app through my work instructions. And normally we would have IoT devices connected. I would take a barcode scanner. I would scan my badge for traceability. I would scan the job order. And I'm just going to simulate that happening here. But you'll note that it automatically, up in the top, is going to show that it's tracing who's working at the cell and what cell they're at. In the bottom right corner, you're going to see a job number, part number, and some other information. This app, I simulated it here, but this app went to the ERP system and pulled that pertinent information in, so it's dynamically being used in the app. This is a very simple app showing some work instructions, pictures and some verbiage. You'll note up top we have a process clock trying to give that operator some visibility of how much time it should take them to build this assembly. We have the actual versus target metrics, and we have some real-time quality metrics in a Pareto fashion. And some other features, there's a lot of features you can build into these apps, but some other real basic features I added here were a call for help button. So if I'm an operator on the floor, I can simply click this button, and that could send a text or an email or a Microsoft Teams message to my supervisor or a quality manager, or someone to let them know that I need some help. Another nice feature is you can build in defect reports. So in the poll, most of you said you wanted to improve quality defects. This is a great way to not only minimize the time your quality team spends on the shop floor trying to capture that data, but also to get visibility to your quality issues sooner so you can resolve them quicker. In this case, if I'm an operator and I see a defect, I can click one button and it would automatically be time-stamped. Of course, this form, by the way, is fully customizable to your needs, but just as an example, as an operator, I can say, yes, this is a defective assembly. I can have a drop-down in here and prompt that operator to choose what is the defective cause. Maybe there's a chip or a crack in this case. Right now, the camera's not working. I don't have a camera hooked up, but normally this would allow me to click a button and take a picture of that defect. And all of this information I'm collecting as an operator is stored and visible in real time. I could build in, if I wanted, I could build in a button that says, go to a set of rework steps for that defect. Or in this case, I'm just going to submit this defect report, and all of that information would automatically get sent to a quality manager, and this is going to prompt the operator. There's a little message at the bottom telling me to go to the Zebra printer that this platform is talking to, grab the sticker, place it on the defective part, and put it in the MRB bin. Gives you a little idea how this very simple app could be used to help you improve your quality metrics and see that information in real time. Let's assume we could tie in some other IoT devices to track whether the hands of the operator are going in the right bins or not. I'm going to just simulate that we went into the right bin. And in this next step, I just like to show how you can tie in some videos. So for very complex assemblies, or for inexperienced operators, you can build these apps to have pictures, videos, text. You can tie your IoT devices in, as you've seen. If I continue to the next step, we've included a very rudimentary quality check here at the very end. An IoT scale where we're putting this, what we're building here is a little radio. We're putting it on the scale. In the app, we tell that scale what the acceptable weight ranges are. And that scale will tell the app, is it acceptable, did it pass, or did it fail? And those metrics, all the data coming from the operator, all the data coming from these IoT devices, it's all stored as variables. And we're going to simulate that it was a good part. And you might have noticed, I didn't point this out before, but you might have noticed this just indexed in real time that I built part number 2 of 10. And it will keep indexing each time I go through this. So that's the end of this part of the demo. What you gather from that, of course, all the data you're collecting, you can have multiple analytics. On the screen right now, I'm showing some examples of what you could pull from an app like this. In the middle here, first pass yield data. Top left, we could have tack times. Dave mentioned that in his struggle. They didn't have any visibility for a benchmark for what their tack time should be, let alone when they try to implement improvements, they couldn't see if it was actually improving things. Well, now you can, because each time an operator goes through this, you're going to be capturing every time they do a specific step and how long it took them to carry that out. You saw the Pareto of quality defects, and we have the rework records, etc. So I'm going to complete this. And as let me get back out of this, apologies. So that's a quick demo of the manufacturing platform working in a very, very simple app. And this is probably what your shop floor looks like today, or most manufacturing. You have binders full of work instructions. You're hoping the operators can get to the right page. They have little handwritten notes in there. We're trying to eliminate all of that, your quality templates. So at this point, we're kind of reaching the new beginning. And if we go back to Dave's story, I told you we'd start with a couple simple apps, work instructions and quality. We kind of understood how that could give him a value right at the beginning. But now that he has a solution implemented, he can continue to use this one platform to expand the solution, like you're seeing on the screen, throughout the rest of his plant to other areas where they're doing assembly for work instructions, training apps, machine monitoring apps, production visibility apps. There's a variety of use cases where you can implement this. But this is where the larger value really starts to come into play. And this is very similar to what you saw in the demo, but here's an example of a dashboard that you may want to pull from some of this data. Again, you see your first pass yield, tack time data by operator, some quality information. But let's say Dave wanted to use an app for machine monitoring. This is an example right now where this is a dashboard showing machine monitoring on a shop floor, helping them get information about their OEE. It's tying together the operator information and the machine data. And you can see up in the top left, the green tiles are the machines that are running, yellow means the machine is idle, and red means the machine is down. But further, a supervisor or anyone on the plant floor could drill down further into this app and look at a specific machine to understand how long it's been in that state, why it's in that state. You can capture downtime reason codes. The app could send automatic text messages to technicians. If you look at the analytics in the bottom right, there's a couple tabs at the bottom, and this kind of points out how you can take this OEE data and you can look at it and compare it day after day, week after week, and monthly. So the idea here is really having the ability to capture all of these manufacturing analytics. For example, in Dave's floor, we're helping them now with their work instructions. We're helping them capture all of these metrics and all of their manufacturing analytics in one spot. And the key is you can have that displayed out on the shop floor and in the office. So everybody knows, everyone has ownership and visibility to what's happening. And most importantly, now you can make these decisions based on real data. On the screen right now are a variety of case studies. And I alluded to several different use cases where you could be using this platform on the shop floor. Each of these on the screen right now shows an actual customer case study where the customer has removed paper processes from the shop floor and used this digital manufacturing platform. Underneath each in the blue text, you'll see the returns that they got. Now, I'm not going to go through each of these right now, but I will leave this up on the screen for you to view as I pass this back to Justin. Justin?
Thank you, Josh. So that was a great story, between Dave's story of talking about all of his struggles in the assembly and then Josh's demo that really tied the two together, that talk about that new beginning and some of the case studies you see here today. And there's many opportunities within the manufacturing sector, and it is complex, but there is a way to get started simple. And as Josh said, he had a picture of a house up there, and you got to start somewhere. If you're going to build a house, you got to start framing it first before you start putting on the siding and start putting up the drywall. And so as we talk about making things simple, we do our best effort to be able to educate the market, and also to have experts like Dave and Josh come out and do these free strategy sessions. Our most successful customers that we have a strategy before they start executing, before they align to all of the different things that they can do. You want to put a roadmap together and be able to understand where you're going. And like Josh said, there are things that get started very simple. Two apps, we call them proof of values, and those proving out that value of the technology and the platform. It's a very low services fee. There's no licensing fee. It's just to test out everything you saw Josh show today with IoT devices, looking at quality, looking at assembly, putting videos in, being able to train operators faster, getting access to the data that's on the shop floor back into the office. So all of those things, at CPS, we provide these free strategic sessions. We also have these proof of values. So just as a closing remarks here around Clear Process Solutions and who you've been on the phone with today, just a quick company snapshot that we were founded in 2013. We have employees in over 8 states. We're industry agnostic, but have a heavy focus on the manufacturing sector. We're product and vendor agnostic, and we're really focused on driving results for your organization. A lot of you had mentioned in the poll that it comes down to budget, right? And not having a budget. So as we focus on digital transformation platforms, leveraging data and process and technology, it all does come back to ROI and value. And so engaging with us in a strategic manner and fashion to line out that value of the assembly automation or decreasing quality defects or increasing machine uptime, all of those have a bottom line financial impact that by presenting it out to your executive leadership teams, you'll be able to say, this investment may be X, but we're expecting a return in 2 months and it's going to be Y. So I do want to thank you all for your time today, and thank you for attending. We will make sure we post this on the website that you can share with your other folks. If you want to view our website, just go to clearprocesssolutions.com. If you have any questions, feel free to email info@clearprocesssolutions.com. I want to thank Dave and Josh today for presenting, and we look to see you on our next webinar. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, guys.